What do real contractions actually feel like? And how long do they last? When should you start timing them? And what can you actually do during a contraction? Well, I'll unpack it all in this video, so let's get into it. Hi, I'm Genevieve Holland, the woman behind MamaNatural.com, the #1 natural pregnancy and parenting brand. I also offer a free pregnancy week-by-week series via email or text that tracks baby's developmental milestones and delivers simple, natural tips to help you and baby thrive. Sign up at MamaNatural.com/updates. Before we answer the questions, what do contractions feel like, we need to first understand what a contraction is. When you have a contraction, your uterus tightens or contracts and then releases and relaxes. It's actually very similar to flexing your bicep and then relaxing it. So the uterus is a muscle, and I think sometimes we forget that. However, at 9 months of pregnancy, the uterus is the largest muscle in a woman's body, which can make a contraction feel super intense. Contractions are your body's way of preparing for birth. Now, there are different kinds of contractions, and we'll get into that soon. However, there is a big difference between practice contractions and true labor contractions. Every mom experiences contractions a little differently, so describing what they feel like is a little challenging, but I want to give it a try. Contractions can feel like a really strong menstrual cramp in your lower abdomen, and as your labor progresses, your contractions will get stronger and more intense. Once you're fully dilated and your baby starts to transcend into your pelvis, you will feel more and more pressure, almost like you have a bowling ball in your lower pelvis and in your vagina and in your anus. Now, a classic way to describe what labor feels like is almost like you have to have a ginormous bowel movement, which makes sense because those same muscles that you use to push out some poop are going to be the same muscles you use to push out the baby. Now, like pregnancy itself, each labor is going to look different. The surest sign, though, that you really are in labor, that the contractions are real, is that you're going to see increase in frequency and intensity. Before we talk further, let's talk about two types of other contractions that are more practice. The first is prodromal contractions. These can happen in the last month of pregnancy, and they can really feel like true labor contractions, but they don't increase in frequency and intensity. Another very common form of practice contractions are called Braxton Hicks. Now, these can feel more like a tightening, and it's pretty uncomfortable in your upper abdomen. It doesn't last as long again, and the frequency isn't there. Now, a lot of midwives and doctors like to see these practice contractions. They think it's a good sign. It's a way of toning that uterus, getting it ready for the big day, and it also promotes blood flow to the placenta. But let's go back to true labor contractions. If your contractions start to get into this regular pattern, and if they're consistently 60 seconds or 90 seconds long, you're probably in labor. When should you call your doula? Call your doula as soon as your contractions become regular. She is going to help you so much. In fact, I remember calling my doula being like, I need to go to the hospital. I'm in labor. I'm freaking out. This is so painful. And she's like, honey, you are probably 1 centimeter dilated. So the doulas can really be just a breath of fresh air and also just give you a reality check. Of course, also call your doctor or your midwife. They're going to counsel you on when you need to take the next step. But as a general guideline, most doctors and midwives will recommend the 4-1-1 during labor. This is a rule that when your contractions come every 4 minutes, they're at least 1 minute in length, and they have been that way for 1 hour. Now, it is important to note that your subsequent births are usually going to be faster. I know this from experience. With my second birth, I almost didn't get to the hospital in time. With my third birth, my midwife didn't get to my home in time, okay? This is how fast things can escalate. So you might want to have a different rule if you've had a couple babies. Maybe you want to do the 5-1-1 rule, and you don't necessarily need to wait that whole hour. Again, talk to your midwife or doctor. They're really going to give you the best advice. Now, how long do contractions last? Well, once you really start having that regular pattern of contractions, they're going to continue in frequency and intensity until you deliver your baby. If you're looking for a rough timeline, here's what it can look like. Early labor usually lasts around 8 to 12 hours. Again, if this is your second or third pregnancy, that could be a lot shorter. Now, the contractions in early labor are going to come about every 5 to 30 minutes, and they're going to last about 30 seconds. Active labor generally lasts about 2.5 to 3.5 hours. Your contractions are going to be coming every 3 to 4 minutes, and they're going to be lasting about a minute. This is when you want to go to the hospital or have your birth crew come to your house. Now, transition is usually the shortest part of labor. It only lasts about 15 minutes to an hour. This is when you're going to want to throw up, you're going to start shaking, you're going to ask for an epidural or a C-section, and this is really when your cervix is dilating to that 10 centimeters to get ready for the pushing stage. What can you do during contractions to manage the intensity? So to help with this intensity, try some different things. Some women find changing positions, walking, using a birthing ball, squatting, or getting on all fours are great ways to ensure that you're staying active, engaged, and that you're really opening up your pelvis for birth. You also can use massage and counter pressure. This can really ease your discomfort. When I had bad back labor with Griffin, my husband literally counter pressured my back with every contraction, and it made the biggest difference. Deep breathing. Breath is going to be your greatest tool during birth when it gets really intense. So focus on one breath at a time, rhythmic breathing in and out. You can say some affirmations, you can recite some scripture, you can look at an inspiring image, do whatever you can to kind of zone out and just get into a peaceful place so that the contractions are not becoming bigger than you. You want to stay on top of your labor. If you want to learn more about affirmations during birth, go to mamanaturalcards.com. Well, thanks so much for watching this video. Also, head on over to mamanatural.com/updates and sign up for my free pregnancy week by week series. Each week you'll see what's up with baby, what's up with you, and discover safe and natural remedies for your best and most natural birth. Finally, check out the Mama Natural Birth Course. You've been told that childbirth is scary, excruciating, or something completely out of your control. But I'm here to tell you something different. You can rock your childbirth, and midwife Maura Winkler and I can help. Learn more at mamanaturalbirth.com.